Okay, here we go.
Well, today we're going to start in a seated pose. And we're talking a little bit about, and we're actually going to focus on our breath today in a new sort of way because I was thinking about this thing that we often do, which is called rumination. And I don't know if you guys have heard that term or not, but it's when you have a circumstance or a person, or maybe a past memory or something like that, and you focus on it really intently, and you're kind of obsessed about it, and you kind of just keep thinking about it, but you just kind of keep going in circles. And so that is called rumination. And one of the techniques that we can use to help pull ourselves out of this kind of downward spiral of thinking about this person or these things is our breath. And so we're gonna spend a little bit more time today kind of talking about diaphragmatic breathing. But first, we're just going to take a nice deep breath, sit nice and tall. If you'd like, you can bring your hands to heart center. Start to pay attention to your breath. Just notice what it's doing in your body. And then if you want to draw your attention to your center line or midline, so it's this line that kind of goes straight down the middle of our bodies, and thinking about aligning your body with that line. So opening up your chest a little bit. If your head is off to one side or the other, just bringing it back to center. Engaging your core again, so that way you are lined up with that center point. And again, noticing your breath. So I'm going to open us with a word of prayer as we stay here in this pose for a moment. God, we thank you for this time and space. We thank you that we're able to move our bodies in the ways that we're able to move them. We're thankful for time and space to be able to do this practice, whether it's here and now or whether it's later or at home or somewhere else. God, we recognize that you are the very breath that we breathe. So as we breathe you in today, would you grant us peace? Would you fill us and spread to every corner of our body, every corner of our mind? And would you show us your way? It's in your name we pray. Amen. All right, to start, we're going to go ahead and do a couple of gentle twists. So take right arm across the body, the left arm behind. We're going to twist off to the side first, thinking about sitting nice and tall. You might feel a little bit tight. Breathing deeply. And then releasing that, we're going to very slowly move to the other side. So again, take the left arm across the body, right arm behind for support. Sitting nice and tall, just thinking about turning off to the side. So we're not twisting deeply yet. We're just kind of warming up, acknowledging our muscles. Taking another deep breath. Ready, come back to center. We're going to do a couple of these barrel rolls that we did the other day. And so we're going to go ahead and take our body all the way around, kind of drawing a circle, if you will, with our shoulders. Sitting back, coming around, and then going the other direction. Exploring how that feels on your hips, also in your low back. Coming back to center, we're gonna go ahead and sit straight up, and we're actually gonna come to the back of our mat with our legs straight out to the side. Now, I don't think that we have done this exercise in this class before, so this is a new one for us. But we're going to simply take, I'm trying to think of how to explain this even. We're going to use our hips like we were walking forward, and we're going to almost like use our legs like we're creeping or crawling along the mat. And this is a great exercise to help strengthen your hips. And so, yep, you're just gonna simply come up and down. You're gonna walk all the way forward toward the far edge of your mat. If you want to put your hands down for support, you can. I see Sandra in the back going like this. So if you want to put your hands up here out of the way, you can do that too. But then once you've reached the edge of your mat here, you're going to inhale, arms up, and then fold all the way forward, or at least as far as is comfortable to you. Releasing any tension you might feel in your hamstrings, and again, also in your low back. And then when you're ready, you can start to walk your hands back towards center. If you'd like, you can put your arms like this again, or put hands down along the side, and this time we're going to go backwards. So again, scooching back, walking along those hips. We're cleaning off the mat. Yeah, we're cleaning off the mat, that's right. And then at the back of the mat, we're going to inhale, arms up, and then fold forward again. Again, paying attention to your breath. And then when you're ready, walking your hands back towards your center, sitting nice and tall. We're going to do that whole thing again. So walking your hips forward. All the way to the other edge of the mat. And then inhale, arms up, and fold forward. Using your hands for support. So if you need to put them on your thighs or on your shins, or if you want to grab your feet, depending on what's comfortable for you. Thinking about bending at your hips, so you're not rounding down over your legs, but keeping a flat back. And then when you're ready, walking those hands back to center, sitting nice and tall, and then go ahead and reach your hips all the way back. So it's a very little move, but it makes a big difference. So once you're there towards the back of your mat, again, inhaling, arms up, and then exhaling all the way forward. This time, after you have hinged at your hips and folded forward, and go ahead and round your back down, tucking your chin. Breathing deeply. And then when you're ready, walking those hands back to center. Now, if you would like, you can go ahead and fold your legs in. Give those hamstrings and your hips a little bit of a break. sitting nice and tall, we're going to focus on our breath for a moment. And one of the things I would invite you to do is to just notice what is happening first with your breath. So what expands in your body when you breathe in? Just notice it. And then today, the invitation is we're going to focus on our diaphragm. So it's this little muscle that's right at the base of our rib cage. It's not so little, but when it flattens out, it actually widens this area of our abdomen. And when we do that, it brings all the oxygen into our lungs. So as we inhale, this part of your abdomen actually expands when you're doing diaphragmatic breathing. And that is really the most efficient way to breathe. So you get the greatest level of oxygen into your body for the least amount of effort for your muscles. The other ways that we breathe often are with our what we call auxiliary muscles. So there are secondary muscles. So a lot of times, maybe we're running or maybe we're doing something that requires a lot of breath. You might feel yourself start to chest breathe up here. And that's not wrong. That you're still breathing, you're still, getting your body what you need, but you have a greater effort to breathe when you breathe with your auxiliary muscles. So when you breathe with your chest muscles or sometimes your shoulder muscles, what happens is the amount of oxygen that's required for those muscles to move is greater than if you just use your diaphragm. So you're using up more of the oxygen to breathe that way than if you just breathe with your diaphragm. So we're going to go ahead and try this again. If you would like, you can put one hand on your chest and one hand kind of right underneath your ribs on your belly. And that helps you to know just what's happening in your body. So again, it's not a right or wrong or anything like that, but it is the least amount of effort for us if we use our diaphragm. So as you inhale this time, see if you can breathe through your diaphragm, not breathe in through your chest or through your shoulders. And you'll know you're doing that because this bottom hand you'll feel your belly expand, and the top hand will stay still. Again, not judging yourself. If you feel that top hand moving, it's just more information for you about what's happening with your breath. All right, and now that we've taken a few breaths that way, we're going to go ahead and release our hands down to the mat. We're going to extend our feet back out in front. And this time, as we do this exercise of walking our hips forward and backwards, we're going to pay attention to our breath and think about how are we breathing as we do this motion. So go ahead if you would like, you can fold your arms. If you would like, you can also leave one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly while you go ahead and walk those hips forward. You might have noticed last time you did this that we might not have even paid attention to our breath as we were doing this because we were focused on the motion of the move. So then when you're ready, inhale, arms up, and then exhale all the way forward. Again, seeing if you can breathe into that belly space. And then walking those hands back towards center. And then same thing, either hands on your arms or one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. Focusing on diaphragmatic breathing, so you're breathing in through your belly. Noticing how that might feel differently in your body. And then pausing at the back, inhaling arms up, and then exhaling all the way down. So focusing on that belly breath just helps us to be more intentional, helps us to be present in the moment. When we have something to focus on like that, oftentimes it draws our attention to the present moment and away from that ruminating pattern. When you're ready, you can walk your hands back towards center. We're going to fold our legs in and then come up onto all fours. And then here, we're going to go ahead and cycle through some cat-cows. So if you would like, you can go ahead and start with your knees underneath your hips, your wrists underneath your shoulders, and then dropping that belly down, allowing the tailbone to come up, opening up the chest. And then when you're ready for your exhale, tucking that tailbone down, curving that spine up toward the ceiling. And when you're ready for your inhale, again, moving back into cow. Following your own breath. Maybe doing 5 or 6 of these. When you're done, you can come back to center. We're going to go ahead and stretch those arms out in front of us, leaving our hips high. We're going to stretch into puppy dog pose. So it's kind of like a mini version of downward facing dog, but instead of being on your toes and extended legs, you are on your knees with your hips up toward the ceiling. And then here in this pose, think about breathing into your diaphragm. When you do that, that expands your lower rib cage. You might, even in this pose, you might feel it through your back. And when you're ready, go ahead and start to walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. And then here, we're going to tuck our toes. And this time, we are going to lift into downward facing dog. So I'm going to tuck my shirt here first. Breathes. Coming into downward facing dog. Really pressing the mat away from us. Stretching into the back side of those legs. Then looking forward towards our hands, we're going to go ahead and start to very slowly walk our feet toward the front of the mat. And then bending our knees. We're going to put our hands on our knees and then round ourselves up. Here we're going to stand in mountain pose at the top of our mat. So we're going to rock back and forth across those feet. And then allowing those feet to kind of settle into the mat. Bend your knees just slightly. And then see if you can press the mat away from you. Pulling your belly button in toward your spine. Opening up your chest. When you do that, you might feel your shoulder blades shifting together and down along your spine. Again, thinking about standing nice and tall, even as you press that mat away from you for mountain pose. And then here, check in with your breath. How are you breathing? So when you're ready, we can go ahead and inhale, both arms up, palms together, exhale down to heart center. Keep folding all the way forward, coming down into forward fold. And inhaling up onto your fingertips, or you can bring your palms to your shins. Either way. Exhale all the way down. Bend those knees, hands on your knees, and then round yourself up. Back into mountain pose. And then here, we're going to go ahead and bend our knees a little bit just for some stability. We're going to shift our hips back slightly. So we're coming into more like a half squat. If you want to come deeper, you can, but we're coming into kind of a half squat. And we're going to take our arms and just swing them, kind of shaking them out a little bit. Again, paying attention to our breath as we do so. Maybe one more. And then go ahead and bring those arms down. Stand back up into mountain. Inhale, arms all the way up. Palms together. Exhale down to heart center. Keep folding forward all the way down to the mat. Tapping your chin when you get here. Inhaling up into flat back on your fingertips or palms on your shins. And then exhale all the way forward. This time, we're going to leave our hands planted here on the mat. We're going to step back with our right foot. And then we're going to step back with our left foot. Come into our plank pose. If you would like, you can drop your knees to the mat and then lower yourself down, or you can just lower yourself straight down to the mat. We're going to lift up into our cobra pose. Exhale all the way down. Inhale and tuck our toes. Exhale as we push up into plank. Keep exhaling as we push ourselves back into downward facing dog. Inhale and look forward. Exhale as we step the right foot forward and then the left foot forward. Keep exhaling as we fold forward. Then inhale, both arms out to the side, all the way up. And then exhale, both arms down to either side. Very good. We're going to do that one more time, but starting with our little half squat. Again, shifting those hips back. The reason we do that is to help protect our knees, because if we put all the weight in the front of the knees, that's a lot of pressure for our knees. And then we're going to take our arms up and down. Again, paying attention to your breath. And then doing one more pose, letting those arms settle down. And then coming back into mountain pose. Inhaling, both arms up. Palms together, exhale all the way forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale down. And then again, here you're going to plant your hands on the mat. You're going to step back with that left foot first this time. And then the right foot. And either you're going to lower straight down, or you can drop to your knees and then lower yourself down to the mat. Inhale up to cobra. Exhale all the way down. Inhale and tuck your toes. Exhale as you push up into plank. Keep exhaling as you shift your hips back for downward facing dog. Inhale and look forward. And step forward with that left foot and then the right foot. Exhale as you fold forward. Inhale, arms out to the side. All the way up. And then exhale down. And then we're going to pause here in mountain pose. And again, check in with our breath. Just noticing it and noticing what it's doing. Now that we've done some more activity, maybe we are using those auxiliary muscles to help us breathe. Maybe we want to refocus, coming back to center and trying to use this diaphragm breathing that we learned earlier. More deep breaths. When we're ready, we're going to inhale, arms up, palms together, bring them down to heart center, and then continue on all the way to a forward fold. This time, we are going to go ahead and step back into downward facing dog. We're going to leave our palms on the mat. We're just going to step back down into downward facing dog. And here, we're going to shift our weight to our right hand, and we're going to reach back toward our right foot with our left hand for a little bit of a twist here. If this is too hard on your arms, then you can always come down to knees like we did with our puppy dog pose here. And so then you're just reaching back this way in puppy dog pose for either side when you get to that. Otherwise, you're here in downward facing dog. Reaching back. Taking that left hand forward. We're going to shift our weight to the left hand and start to reach back with the right hand. Taking several deep breaths. Pulling that right hand forward. We're going to shift ourselves coming onto our knees. We're going to shift our hips back over top of our ankles and then stretch forward for child's pose. Again, checking in with your breath. Thinking about breathing into that diaphragm space. When you're ready, we're going to go ahead and pull up onto all fours. And then we're going to tuck our toes and lift our hips up toward the ceiling again, coming into downward facing dog. Here we're going to shift our weight to the left foot this time, taking that right foot up toward the ceiling for three-legged dog. Then bringing that knee into our chest, we're going to go ahead and step forward, coming into our low lunge. Readjusting as you need to along the way. And then leaving that left palm there, we're going to reach up with the right hand for a low lunge twist. And then taking that arm back down, we're going to step that back foot forward to meet the right foot. Coming back to the top of our mats. Inhale as we lift into flat back. Exhale as we bend all the way forward. Go ahead and bend those knees, hands on your knees, and very slowly round yourself up. Go back into mountain pose. So recovering your breath, in whatever way seems best to your body at the moment. So again, if that means that you're using your chest and shoulder muscles to breathe deeply, that's okay. Don't judge yourself for that. And then when you're ready, go ahead and inhale, arms all the way up, palms together, exhale to heart center, folding all the way forward, move back into our forward fold. Here we're going to step back into our downward facing dog again. This time we're shifting our weight to our right foot. We're going to bring that left foot up toward the ceiling for three-legged dog on the other side. We're going to bend that knee, bring it into our chest, and then set it down in front of our two front hands. Into that low lunge on the other side, leaving that right palm down. We're going to reach up with the left. Taking a few deep breaths here, then sweeping that hand back down. We're going to step forward with that back leg. Folding forward, inhale into flat back. Exhale all the way down. And then go ahead and bend those knees. Put your hands on your knees. And very slowly round ourselves up. Very good. So we're going back into mountain pose here. And here, the invitation is to step back with that right leg. We're going to do that at kind of a 45-degree angle back there. We're going to lift up those arms for warrior one. And then as we exhale, we're going to allow the back heel to come up. And we're going to sink down into this runner's lunge. We're going to allow that back knee to come down, untuck the toes, coming into low lunge. And then if you would like, you can take both hands to the inside of that front foot and start to walk yourself around to the long edge of your mat for a little bit of a twist. Again, focusing on your breath. Then coming back, framing that front foot with either hand, tucking the back toes, lifting into runner's lunge. And then you're going to blade that back foot. So you're planting it all the way on the mat. Then you're going to lift your upper body up. And then if you can, we're going to step forward once again to meet that other foot. Exhale, arms down. Return to mountain pose. Very good. So we'll take the other side. So inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands down to heart center. We'll do that again. Inhale, arms up. Palms together. Exhale to heart center. Just recovering our breath a little bit. Last time, inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to heart center. And release those hands down. We're going to step back this time with the left foot. Again, so our back foot is at a little bit of an angle. We're going to lift our arms up. Warrior one. Then sliding down into our runner's lunge. Go ahead and drop that back knee, untuck the toes, sinking into that low lunge. Taking both hands to the inside of that front foot, and then walking those hands towards the long edge of your mat for a twist. Bringing that back, bringing that front foot. Tuck those back toes, lift into our runner's lunge again. Then we're going to blade that back foot, and once that foot is all the way on the mat there, then we'll lift up again, and then step that back foot forward. Exhaling arms down into mountain pose once more. Very good. So we're going to move into our balancing postures. So again, if you want to come to hang onto a wall or a chair, you're welcome to do that. Or if you want to come to the center of your mat, you're welcome to do that too. So here we're going to start by, again, standing in our mountain pose as normal. We're going to shift our weight to the left foot, drawing the right knee forward. And then if you would like, you can either start to extend that foot out in front, or you can take your thumb and forefinger of the opposite arm and hold on to that big toe as you pull it out. So this, you're getting more stretch and balance alongside of your hamstring. If you're doing it this way, you're focusing more on your quadricep and building muscle in your core. So either way, you take whatever version is most comfortable for you today. And then bringing that back in, go ahead and step out, shaking out that other leg. And starting in mountain pose once more. We're going to shift our weight this time to the right foot, drawing that left knee forward. And either you're extending that leg out in front this way, or you're taking your thumb and forefinger of your opposite hand, wrapping it around your big toe, and then pulling that out straight in front of you. When you're ready, bend that back in towards your body, step out, and then shake out that other leg. Okay, very good. We have one more kind of little sequence to do, and then we're going to come down to the mat for our last couple of things. So if you guys want to move to mountain pose at the front of your mat again, that would be excellent. And here, again, we're going to think about opening that chest, about breathing into your diaphragm. There was a study that was actually done. There were some runners that took some diaphragmatic breathing classes for about 8 weeks, and they found that at the end of that 8 weeks, they all improved their running times because it was such a much more efficient way of breathing for them. So there was more oxygen that was available for the rest of their bodies, but it also improved their balance too. So that is pretty fun. So when we're ready, we're going to inhale, both arms up. Palms together, exhale all the way down to forward fold. Stepping back with the right foot and then the left, coming into downward facing dog once more. This time we're going to shift our weight forward into plank pose. So you might again need to kind of readjust your steps or your distance from your hands to your feet. We're going to lower all the way down to the mat, so you can either come down to your knees first or just lower straight down. We're going to inhale up into cobra. Exhale all the way down. Inhale up into cobra. Exhale all the way down. Last time, inhale up into cobra. And exhale all the way down. Taking those arms out in front of you. Taking a little pillow for your head. Resting down. And then here, again, the invitation is to focus on that diaphragmatic breath, which is a little bit easier to do in this moment because against the floor, you can actually feel your diaphragm expanding, and then that air going down into your belly, but then also up into your lungs. When you're ready, you're going to move your hands underneath your shoulders. You're going to tuck your toes, push yourself up into our plank pose, and then shift your hips back into downward facing dog again. So here we're going to go ahead and shift our weight to the left foot, drawing that right foot up. Then bending that knee, bring it into our chest. Set the foot down between the two front hands. And then here, we're going to lift our bodies up and then turn toward that front leg. So if you'd like to extend your arms out to either side, you can. And sweep those arms back in front. Come back down to the mat. Step that right foot back to meet the left. Exhale all the way down to the mat. Lift up into cobra. Exhale all the way down. Lift up into cobra. Exhale all the way down. Last time, lift up into cobra. And then exhale all the way down. This time, making a pillow out of your arms, turning your head the other way. Again, focusing in on your breath. When you're ready, you can take your hands underneath your shoulders, tuck those toes, push up into plank, and then shift those hips back into downward facing dog. We shift our weight to our right foot, taking that left foot up toward the ceiling. And then exhale that knee into chest, and then set that foot down between the two front hands. We're going to lift up from here. And we're going to turn toward that front knee, extending arms out to either side. Sweeping those arms toward the front. Coming back down to the mat. Stepping that left foot back to meet the right. We'll lower ourselves down to the mat. Then lift up into cobra. You know the drill here, so we're exhaling down. Inhale up into cobra. Exhale down. Last time, lift up into cobra. And then exhale all the way down. This time we're going to sit back into child's pose. Pushing up through a modified plank, shifting your hips back. Go ahead and extend your arms forward. Breathing deeply, resting your head on the mat. So I forgot what the muscles are called, but there are these little tiny muscles in between each of our rib cage, in between each of our ribs. And they also assist as we do that diaphragmatic breathing, as our diaphragm flattens out and draws all the air into our lungs. And those little tiny muscles expand our rib cage to allow space for that air to enter in. We're going to start by pressing our palms into the mat, drawing ourselves up onto all fours. We're going to pause here and do a couple of cat-cows. So again, going at your own pace, allow the belly to drop down, head to come up toward the ceiling, and then when you're ready for your exhale, arching that back, stretching through the backside of the shoulder blades. Following your own breath. Doing just 3 or 4 of these. Going back to neutral. Here we're going to take our hands forward slightly and we're going to slide that left knee forward, coming into pigeon pose. And here my encouragement is for us to really focus on stretching into the front side of that hip flexor. So you can go ahead and bend forward over the top of that bent knee. However, don't pull onto that front hip. If you can, think about stretching into the front side of this extended leg back here. When you're ready, go ahead and start to work yourself up onto your palms, sliding that knee back, and then taking the right knee forward, coming down into pigeon pose on the other side, and then bending forward over top of that front knee. Again, the encouragement here is to stay midline, so stay with that center line that we talked about in our bodies earlier in our practice. Really stretching into the front side of that extended leg instead of kind of just opening up or sitting down onto that front hip. Even here, you can think about your breathing, what feels restrictive, what doesn't. When you're ready, you can start to walk your hands underneath your shoulders. This time we are going to sit on that front hip. We're going to spin our legs, or sweep our legs around to the front, coming into our staff pose. Pressing our palms into the mat, sitting nice and tall. Breathing deeply here. And then planting our feet on the mat. You can go ahead and place your hands behind your knees and then round yourself down. Bring your knees into your chest. You can go ahead and rock back and forth across that low back. So we started off talking about rumination, this process of kind of this obsessive thinking about either a past event or a person. And part of it is a natural response of our minds to try to problem solve. And we think in that moment that if we just examine that situation closely enough, we'll figure out what we should have done or how to make it go differently next time. When you're ready, come back to center. Go ahead and drop those feet down to the mat. Go ahead and heel toe those soles of your feet together and then allow the knees to open down toward the mat. You can bring your palms to the outside of your thighs for a bit of support if you need. And the other part of our brain in rumination often thinks that we're doing something. You know, it's an action that feels like we're trying to be productive, doing something with our anxiety or with our worry or with our depression or whatever it might be that kind of brings us to that place. But the truth is that we often get stuck there, and that's when it becomes ruminating. And then it becomes really unproductive, because all we tend to do then is just focus on the negative, which does not pull us into the problem solving part of our brain. It actually pulls us down into our emotional brain. So it's a lower level of thinking. When you're ready, you can go ahead and use your hands to help your knees together, heel-toeing those feet out as wide as the mat. You can start to drop one knee in toward the center at a time. So again, one of the ways out of that kind of rumination is to focus on our breath. And in particular, to focus on this really deep breathing that we've been practicing today. And sometimes our minds and our bodies kind of trick us into thinking, well, the emotion that's associated with my obsessive thinking about this thing, somehow that justifies me. When you're ready, you can take that right leg up, or whichever leg you started with, and drop the other knee down to the center. But again, what it's actually doing is it just keeps us stuck in that thought process, stuck focusing on that situation or on that person, and also stuck in that emotion too. So as we pull ourselves out of that through this deep breathing, we're actually signaling to our bodies that it's time to do something different. When you're ready, you can take that other knee up out of the center, heel toe, those feet back hip width apart. Go ahead and allow that right leg to come down. Allow the left leg to come down. Allow the feet to fall open and come down into our final relaxation position. And laying down is another really great point where we can check in with our breathing and just, again, notice what it's doing in our bodies. Start to bring your attention back to this moment. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. You can start to roll yourself to one side. Then gently push yourself up into a seated position. If you would like, you can bring your hands to heart center. I know we've had our hands at heart center a lot today, but it has felt purposeful. And then let me pray for us. God, thank you that you are the center, that you draw us back from the downward spiral, back from the edge, back from going too far. God, thank you for the peace that you give us through your Spirit. God, would you help us to breathe into that today? That when we're tempted to start ruminating or start focusing too intently on someone or something else, God, that you would help us instead to look internally, to focus on that breath, and to bring us back into center. We love you, and it's in your